We call the narcissist out, or do we actually distance ourselves? I know that this is an age-old question that many of us have been asking ourselves, wondering what to do. And therapeutically speaking, we all want to call them out. They're all living in glass houses with their own issues that usually make us look like a saint. It would be nice to kick them off their self-made pedestal. However, they can be very vengeful, and they can come after us because we're telling the truth about them, exposing them, and they do not want to be exposed. They do not want that mask to come off. Otherwise, people will know the truth about them. So it depends on what you want to do. It depends on the stress that you want in your life. And that's something that I really want to stress here in this video, is that we have to really think about how much more stress do we want to take on in our life. When you're dealing with a narcissist in your life and you have these flying monkeys that are giving information back to the narcissist and they're making your life a living hell, how much more stress do you want? And we hope that they eventually move on. We hope that eventually they find someone else. And I know that that sounds horrible, but eventually they have to find another victim. How long will you be the victim? And this may or may not happen. But what I found is that when we do call them out, they can go after us. They can be very argumentative. They can make our life a living hell. They can create more havoc, more stress, and more strain in our life. And I would definitely like nothing more than to do that. But I think if we really think about what we need to do in our life to be able to focus on what we need to focus on, to be able to put our life first and work on ourselves and be successful in every area of our life, I think we got to stick to this protocol. Let's talk about that now. First off, you want to block them. I'm a big believer in being able to know what people are doing and where they're at, but if they're constantly messaging you and leaving you messages that are creating havoc in your life, you're going to have to block them. Or you're going to have to hide that communication somewhere in your phone that's not something that you're seeing. Because remember, we don't need to see negative and nasty comments every day of our life. We have a life that we have to live. We have a lot of strain, a lot of responsibilities. The last thing we need is somebody creating this havoc in our life. Ultimately, you don't want to speak to them. If there's a way to not speak to them, like you don't have to interact with them at all, I suggest that. Even if it's a family member, and this can be really challenging. And I know if it's a mother or father, this is really hard to do. But if this is a distant family member or a friend or a cousin, you can probably do this a lot easier because there's no need to speak to them. There's no need to tell them anything about your life. Remember, there is nothing that is sacred to talk to them about. So always remember, whatever you say to them could be on a billboard tomorrow. Another aspect is you don't want to allow your friends or family to bring them around. They are not allowed in your home. They are not allowed around your kids or your family. And I would make that very clear. You're not calling them out per se, but you're just saying, hey, I don't interact with so-and-so and I don't allow so-and-so in my home. Another aspect, too, is you don't want to ever act like you like them to anybody. And I know that that sounds very interesting, but why BS it? Why sugarcoat it? If they're creating havoc and pain in your life, don't sit there and say, oh, so-and-so is a great person. You just don't have to say anything at all. You don't have to bring them down to the gutter, but at the same time, just have nothing to say. You're not even interested. They don't even make a mark on your radar. Another aspect, too, is that when you have people that might be friends with this narcissist, if they're talking about them or wanting to hang out with them, just make it clear that you don't speak to this person anymore. Make it clear that you are no longer talking to this person. You no longer have communication. And if they ask you why, don't go into it. Change the subject immediately. Just say, hey, we just don't talk anymore. It's no big deal. I got a lot more things going on in my life. If somebody asks you why you're not talking to somebody, and this is the main narcissist in your life, I would be very honest with them. Say, hey, because I respect myself enough and I'm working on my self-love and really being self-aware, I'm not going to allow certain types of people around me anymore. I'm really working on myself and I'm really building a good solid foundation around people that really care about me, people who are authentic, and people who really have what's best for me and I have what's best for them in their life. And ultimately, remember this, if somebody is taking the side of the narcissist, that narcissist or that flying monkey that's in your life, remember in the back of your mind constantly, they can change at any moment. Who they're going after, the person they're choosing to make their life hell can change. They can turn on people at any moment. And a lot of people, especially if they're flying monkeys to the narcissist, they don't realize this. They're getting something out of it. They're feeling good because this person's listening to them. The narcissist is giving them carte blanche to talk with. with. You know, maybe they're getting that attention that they want. They're seeking that. Maybe they're the golden child in the family and seeking that, getting that attention, relishing in that. And so remember, ultimately, nobody's safe with this person around. And so if you know what's true and you're safeguarding yourself and you're doing what you need to do and you're not giving any personal information out there, remember, that's going to keep them at bay, and eventually they're not going to have anything to talk about. It might take a large amount of time, but ultimately we want to distance ourselves because we don't want to bring any more pain into our life. And you know what? It is the higher ground. We're taking the higher ground. And I know some of you say, you know what? It's hard to take the higher ground when somebody's hurting me, when somebody's trying to destroy my life. And that is so true. But ultimately, we have to think about what do we need to be doing in our life? Who do we need to literally surgically cut out of our life? And what people and types of people do we need to be spending our time with so we can actually flourish and be the authentic self that we are meant to be? I hope this video has helped you. Please share it with anybody that's dealing with a narcissist in their life, because this is really important, because we don't want to have any more stress in our life. We want to actually be able to live our life to the fullest. That's why I always say it's about living your true life. In the comment section below, let me know, how did it work when you distanced yourself from the narcissist? What did you do? Were there some things that you did that I didn't talk about in this video? Because we need to get the information out to safeguard ourselves and to safeguard our friends and family and the people we care about. Don't forget to live your true life.